Okay, I see my attendees popping up. Okay, so we will start. Good afternoon, everyone, since it's 12 o'clock. So happy to be here with all of you guys this Tuesday. I'm Sofia Bahana. I'm with the Minority Business Development Agency Business Center. We support minority-owned businesses in different aspects. Besides one-on-one consultants, we do access to contracts, access to capital, and access to markets. So I won't take too much of the time explaining. So if you want support for us, please contact me. You can email me at sbahana@nmbda.com, or since you receive an email from me, you can contact me via email or phone or via chat. So you can also send me a chat on this meeting. So I'm glad to have here our partners, SBDC and the State of New Mexico Workers' Compensation Administration. So I will introduce Fran Fernandez from the SBDC. Please, Fran, take it away.
Excellent. Thank you, Sophia. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fran Fernandez. I serve as director of the Small Business Development Center at Central New Mexico Community College, CNM. And just want to take a few minutes to share with you how my organization serves small business owners in our community. The New Mexico Small Business Development Center program was founded in 1989. We've been serving small business owners across the state for over 34 years now. We have 18 service centers across New Mexico, and our highly skilled staff is comprised of 63 business professionals that have business management experience and business ownership expertise. The New Mexico Small Business Development Center program is funded in part by the Small Business Administration and the New Mexico State Legislature, and we operate through a cooperative agreement with Santa Fe Community College to provide services to small business owners in our community. Our center's host institution is Central New Mexico Community College, and we proudly serve our clients located in our service area of Bernalillo and Sandoval counties. Our mission is to develop skilled entrepreneurs and strong businesses in our state. The Small Business Development Center at CNM provides counseling and training services to help our small business clients start their businesses, to grow their businesses, and most importantly, to stay in business. Some of our client services include our no-cost confidential business counseling that helps clients at all stages of business development. We also provide technical startup assistance to help our clients understand the steps of starting a small business in the state. And we work with existing businesses in our community to help them grow and to thrive. We provide business and marketing plan assistance from getting started and reviewing completed plans for client success. We can review available funding options and help assess the best options for our clients. We have several tools to help our clients access market and industry research as part of the planning process. We also offer bilingual counseling and support services to our Spanish-speaking business owners in the community. And, to help our clients become skilled entrepreneurs, we do offer low to no cost business education workshops and trainings through our online training portal. There's so many advantages of working with the Small Business Development Center at CNM and our community partner, the Minority Business Development Agency, as we all want to help you and your small business succeed. So I encourage you, please visit our website there on the screen, www.nmsbdc.org, to learn more information about our program. And you can register online for counseling and training services. You can also reach us at our main number, or simply, just send us an email. We're always here to help you and assist you with your business needs. And today we are so pleased to present our speakers. We have Jessica Sanchez and we also have Jose Frescas, and they're both with the Workers' Compensation Administration. They're going to be presenting Workers' Comp 101. So I'm excited to hear what they say. And so I'm going to turn the floor over to both of you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Fran and Sophia. So my name is Jessica Sanchez. I am with the Workers' Comp Administration. As we said, I'm the Medical Cost Containment Bureau Chief, and I have with me Joey Frescas. If you want to give a quick intro, Joey.
Yeah, my name is Joey Frescas. I'm with the Workers' Comp Administration, located here in Albuquerque. I'm the return to work specialist, and I work with businesses in all of northern New Mexico. So pretty much anything from Los Lunas, Belen, north. And we'll speak more about return to work next week, I believe. We'll mention it a little bit today, but next week we'll dive into that a little bit more. So hopefully we see you guys again.
Yeah, so this is a part 1 and 2 workshop. So hopefully we'll get you interested so you can hear our part 2 as well, to give you some good tips on how to deal with risk management, especially when you're in a small business situation. Workers' comp is one of those things where you don't always know what you need to know, because it is in its essence a legal system, a legal setup. So we're going to talk about what small businesses need to know, especially, and also just know we're here to help you and get you in compliance with workers' compensation. So I am currently trying to share my screen. Let's see. All right, so there we go. So this is our employer workshop. And if we were doing this in person, I would go around and ask what kind of businesses we had in the audience, because we kind of like to have a back and forth. But since we're doing this via Zoom, if you want to put your questions in the chat, I can answer as we go along. And I can stop. So if you have anything specific to you, please don't hesitate to put it in the chat or the Q&A section, I believe is where it is. And we can answer those questions as we go along. So first, the most common question we get is, who are we? Because many people don't know that we are a state agency. We regulate workers' comp. There's our building there based in Albuquerque, as Joey said. We have 6 field offices throughout the state in the, let's see if I get this right, Santa Fe, Las Vegas, Farmington, Cruces, Hobbs, and Roswell. And at our offices, we have a mini district court. We also put out the rules and regulations regarding workers' comp. So we do not pay out claims directly. If someone wished to get injured, we aren't the insurance company. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So we are the neutral state agency. And what we're doing here today is educating on workers' comp, so that way, like I said, you can tell if your business is in compliance with Workers' Comp Act and what you need to know if your worker were to get injured, and give you resources so you know where to go if you have questions on that. So what we do: administer, regulate workers' comp law. We enforce the insurance coverage requirements, which we're going to go into in depth later on in this presentation. Educate, provide information. That is one of our missions, is to educate on workers' comp. And that's why we're here today, and we're happy to partner here to be able to get that information out. And we have a dispute resolution. So we have a mini district court essentially at our offices. We have 6 judges, 5 mediators. So if you were involved in a worst case workers' comp scenario, you would be seen at our offices for a mediation or a hearing situation. So again, we're here to help you avoid one of those worst case workers' comp scenarios. Here's some of the services that we offer for employers and workers. So our ombudsman program, it's kind of a strange word, but essentially it's a program to give neutral information. Again, being the state agency, we're not trying to sell you anything. We're not the insurance company. Where the ombudsman program is there to inform and educate anyone about their rights and responsibilities under workers' comp. We've got a safety program, which Joey's going to talk about later on. Our early return to work initiative, Return to Work, which we're going to go in depth on later on. Our website, I really encourage you to go to our website. We have all kinds of information that's helpful, annual report and seminars. So those are some of the services we provide. So, excuse me, I'm fighting this tickle in my throat. So I'm living off of cough drops right now. So sorry if I have to mute myself for a little bit while I cough a bit. But what is workers' comp? It's a no-fault system. So in essence, if someone gets hurt on the job, we're not looking at, is it your fault? Essentially, they're going to be covered as long as the employer is paying the workers' comp insurance on their behalf. So when we say no fault, we're not looking immediately, oh, did that person cause the accident? No, they're going to be covered under workers' comp. And this was the compromise in taking it out of a district court system where they can be sued effectively under a tort system. So it's not an actual lawsuit. So if you have your workers' comp insurance, your worker gets hurt, if you've got that coverage, um, that worker should be covered regardless on if it's their fault, your fault, on why the incident happened. So that's what we always refer to as a no-fault system. And we're always trying to provide quick and efficient delivery of indemnity and medical benefits. That's our mission as an agency. Okay. So benefits of workers' compensation, it helps both the worker and the employer. The benefit to the worker is that, again, we're not going to look at, was it their fault? If they got injured on the course and scope of employment, is the way it reads in the statute, they should get their healthcare costs covered that are related to that injury, and they should get some lost, basically indemnity pay if they were to be out of work due to that injury. So help for the lost wages. So the benefit to the employer is that you're paying an insurance premium. Your costs are regular. So it's not like you get an injury and the worker sues and you could lose your business kind of thing. You're because you're covered under an insurance policy, you're paying your premium costs, so it's predictable. So that's where it helps with the employer. When you have to pay out the medical and indemnity benefits to the worker, it's your insurer that pays that out on your behalf, and you're paying out your premium every month. So, excuse me. I said the other thing is you can't be sued unless it's a really, really negligent case where you injured the worker on purpose. You really can't be sued in district court for that. They're covered under your workers' comp policy. And so here's where we go into who is required to have workers' comp insurance. So depending on your business model, so employers with 3 or more employees, that's always the magic number, and it's a head count. So 3 or more employees, coverage is required. Fewer than 3 employees, it's voluntary. However, we do encourage you, even if it's voluntary, sometimes it's a good idea to have it anyways in case that second worker gets injured, right? Here is the carve out for construction trades. If you have a CID license, so I'm not sure if we have anybody here in the construction industry, or anything that you need a CID license for. So construction is loosely, it could be whatever CID requires you to be licensed for. No matter how many employees you have, you still need that workers' comp coverage. And that's regardless of the number of employees. So even if you have fewer than 3 employees, you've got the CID license, you've got to have the workers' comp coverage. And that's really because that is considered the highest risk industry in the state as far as injuries happening. So they've just made it to where anybody in CID, anybody with the CID license has to get the coverage. Exceptions also real estate, if you're involved in real estate, or for your domestic worker, meaning house cleaning, or like a nanny situation, coverage is voluntary. But again, we still encourage those employers who aren't subject to the Workers' Comp Act to still have it, because it does provide you, as I said, those benefits that we had gone over. So why get coverage? Most of it's the law. Good business protects you and your workers. All right. So one of the questions that we get asked quite often is, okay, well, I'm giving my workers all 1099s, so I don't need to get coverage, right? The 1099 does not in and of itself dictate whether or not that worker is an employee under the Workers' Comp Act. So you may have issued 1099s to, let's say you have 5 workers. What we've seen in the past is sometimes employers will do that in order to circumvent the Workers' Comp Act. So you may still be subject to having to get workers' comp for someone, the workers' comp coverage, even if you have given them a 1099. So that in and of itself isn't something that will exempt you from having to get the workers' comp. It may, the best thing you can do is really speak to one of our compliance officers. We have a compliance bureau that deals with just answering those kinds of questions. And we'll give you all that contact information in the end. So it goes, they might ask you, okay, did you issue a 1099? Also, do you buy the uniforms for your worker? Do you control the time and place of where they work? If you're exercising a lot of control over that worker, maybe they're not really a true independent contractor in the sense of workers' comp statutes. So I just want to put that caveat out there that sometimes when people say, oh, I'm issuing a 1099, I don't need to do workers' comp, you might still have to. One of the other things to take into consideration is even if you have somebody that's, like I said, it's a head count. So let's say it's you and another worker, right? So it's you, another worker, and then you only hired somebody over the summer. Well, guess what? Then you met the 3. So there's the 3 head count. So you can usually get a little bit of a discount if you're not having them through the entire year. But even if you give somebody in on a part-time, seasonal, temporary basis, you might still, you will likely be subject to workers' comp if that's your 3rd worker. So you do need to take that into account as well. So the working relationship, this is what I was talking about. Excuse me. IRS also has a checklist as to what they consider you can issue a 1099 for. So sometimes the workers' comp and IRS aren't totally aligned as to what they consider somebody as an independent contractor. So again, if you're ever in doubt, the best thing to do is call our offices to see if that worker qualifies as having to get, as for you having to get workers' comp for them. All right. So the issue is, let's say you've issued all these 1099s, you're thinking, I don't need to get workers' comp. If that worker were to get injured, in the end, it's like, well, no, they're actually a real employee. You've just exposed yourself to risk. And in that way, you are not covered under the protections of the Workers' Comp Act. The other party can sue in district court in that situation. So that's why we're saying, we're giving you the heads up that, don't just take it for granted that you've issued a 1099 and you're good. So naughty tactics, I know no employer here would do this, but there's things where we've seen people try to circumvent the workers' comp system. They don't want to pay workers' comp, right? So they'll pay the workers cash, so that way they're not actually counted as an employee. Misclassifying them. So like I said, issuing a 1099 and saying you're good, making them sign some sort of waiver, being dishonest when a compliance officer calls. Really, these kinds of things always backfire, because if that worker gets hurt, all bets are off, right? So it really doesn't help you. We've seen some, like I said, worst case scenarios at our offices happen where you think you're getting away with something, but that worker gets hurt. It could really be damaging for you and your business. So the cost of insurance. So you don't come to workers' comp to get insurance, right? We're the Workers' Comp Administration. So we're the neutral state agency that just regulates workers' comp. To buy insurance, you go through the private market. So we suggest calling maybe 3, take it the same way you would car insurance. Call, get quotes, let them know your situation. I have 4 workers, one's a part-time worker. There's different factors that they look at. Number 1 is the industry you're in. So unfortunately, if you're in a higher risk industry, like construction, your premium will likely be higher than if you were a web designer, right? Because there's just likelihood of more injuries when you're in construction, falls, that kind of thing, more expensive injuries. So that means you're a bigger risk to an insurance company. So they will first look at what kind of industry you're in. How many people are on your payroll. So if you have 5 workers, it's going to be less expensive than if you have 20 workers. And what kind of workers, like I said, if you have 5 web designers as opposed to 4 roofers and an office person. You're just going to be more expensive that way. Also, your EMOD or your act, they call it EMOD or experience modifier, which is talking about your safety program or how many accidents you've had. So your safety program hopefully will prevent those accidents from happening. But if you have had, especially an expensive injury where you haven't returned anybody back to work, well, the insurance company is saying, wow, this person's going to cost me a lot of money, right? So you're going to be more expensive to insure if you don't pay attention to your safety program. You're not trying to avoid those injuries. If you have a bunch of injuries and long running workers' comp claims, that insurance company carrier, that underwriter is going to say, wow, these guys are going to be expensive to insure. So they have to pass that cost along to you, the insurer. So we say it pays to be safe. And unfortunately, I just have to say this, if you're a new employer, usually your costs will be higher coming out of the gate. It's almost like a new driver, right? But as you establish yourself, I would say after 3 years, you can start shopping around. You might get some better rates somewhere. So it usually takes about 3 years for those workers' comp claims to develop. So shop around. You might be able to get some different rates from different people. Where to buy coverage, insurance agency, an insurance broker company. Most of the small businesses will be through the conventional coverage voluntary market. Assigned risk pool, that's the one nobody really wants to be in. That's when you can't get insured anywhere else. And so you have to go to where it's like super expensive. So that's the assigned risk pool. And it's really hard to dig yourself out of there once you get in there. And that usually happens when you've had some high cost injuries on your record as a company. And self-insurance, that's for the really huge companies. So there's very few in the state, like Presbyterian and Walmart, those kind. So watch out for scams. There is no alternative for workers' comp insurance. You know, if you need it, you need it. And saving money on premiums. So I'm going to tag team over to Joey, who's going to talk a little bit on how you can save money on premiums.
Okay, so as far as premiums goes, and we always compare this to car insurance. So if you have car insurance and you have a clean driving record, your insurance premium is probably going to be a little bit less. But if you have accidents, obviously your premiums are going to go up. And it's kind of the same thing with workers' compensation. The more accidents you have, the more expensive maybe those accidents are as far as medical care, then the more your insurance premiums are going to go up. So having a safety program in place, no matter if you're a large business or a small business, is a huge advantage. And one of the things that we can do here at the Workers' Comp is we do have a safety bureau with safety consultants who are available to help. If you go to our website, Jessica pointed to that earlier, there's actually pre-written safety plans on there that you can download, and they're in Word documents, so you can manipulate them and kind of customize them to what you need. It kind of gives you a guide on how to kind of start a safety program. There's safety checklists on there. Our safety consultants are available to you for free at no cost. If you wanted one of them to come down to your place of business and do a safety inspection and maybe try to identify potential risks that could lead to an injury, and then they can explain to you how to fix them. One thing I always mention with that is we're not OSHA, the Occupational Health and Safety Administration. Usually when they show up at your door and there's a violation, there could be a fine associated with that. We're more education. We're there to teach and educate you on how to prevent those injuries. So we'll point them out to you, and then we leave you with the responsibility of mitigating those. So we provide training. We can help with safety programs, and we can do inspections. So one thing that we need to mention as far as your insurance premiums, as your business grows, and it depends how big it is, and it depends on what industry you're into, but as your business grows, if your annual premium, what you pay for your workers' comp insurance, exceeds or once it hits $15,000 a year or exceeds that amount, then by state statute, you are required to have an annual safety inspection. And there's 4 ways to get that done. You can do it yourself. Again, we have safety checklists that you can download from our website, or you can just call us. We can send it to you. You can call us and we can do it for you at no cost. You can call your workers' comp carrier and they will sometimes do it. Sometimes it takes them a little while to get out there. And the last one is you could hire a safety consulting company to do it. So what we find with small businesses is many times the safety consultants from here will go out and do one with the manager or the owner or whoever's in charge the first time. And then after that, they kind of get trained and then they can do it themselves every time after that. So just keep that in mind that once you hit that $15,000 mark per year, you have to do an annual safety inspection. If it's below that, it's voluntary. Return to work, we do have a return to work program. I am part of that program for Northern New Mexico businesses. And next week, we will go into that in a little more detail. But a return to work program kind of works with your safety program. If you do have an injured employee, it's a way to get that worker back to work safely and hopefully a little bit quicker, which saves you money on your insurance premiums because then the payout is not as high. So, but we'll kind of touch on that next week. Hopefully we see you back. Okay, Jessica.
All right, thanks, Joey. And we got some questions coming in here.
Oh, okay.
That I just saw. So
Okay.
it says, is there an agency that can come and look at the work site to check for safety measures? And yes, right, Joey?
Yes. So if you want somebody to come out and look, just call our office here in Albuquerque. Ask for the Safety Bureau. They'll put you in contact with them, and then you can schedule an appointment with a safety consultant. Yeah, they'd be more than happy to go out and look and kind of get you going in the right direction. And again, remember, it's not punitive. We're not there to fine. It's more about educating you and keeping your workplace safe.
Okay, and another question, is it $50K gross or net?
It's actually no, it's $15,000 a year.
50.
Yeah, 15. Once your insurance premiums hit that, if that's what you're paying on an annual basis, then you're required to get that in safety inspection. And then you had the 4 ways to get it done.
Okay, and then someone's asking for a link to the safety plan documents.
I think if you get on our main website and you go, there's a link to safety. And once you click on that tab, you'll see there's some documents on there and you can just open it. It's a Word document. I think there's a sample safety checklist. There's a sample safety plan. And if you don't find it, again, call and we can email it to you. That's not a big deal.
Yeah. And here's one more about workers' comp is mandatory when you have more than 2/3 employees. 3 for sure. And just so you know, usually the owner is part of that head count, unless you're depending on how your business is structured. So if you are a corporation, I believe that doesn't count you. But so if it's you, 2 people, you've met the 3 head count. So then, yeah, you do need the workers' comp. And even if you don't receive pay, so if you're doing activities that further the business, even if you do not receive pay, that usually makes you part of the head count. But just depending on how your business is structured, if you're a corporation or LLC, I would say it's best to actually, if you're right on that border where you're not sure, call our office and speak to an actual compliance officer, and you can give the specifics of your business. And again, as Joey said, we would rather educate you to do the right thing rather than be punitive, right? It wastes a lot of our resources really to have to go through those extremes to get someone to comply. So if we can just educate you and you do what you need to do, and you're in compliance with workers' comp, we consider that much more helpful to everyone involved if we can do that upfront. So I would say call our offices, speak to a compliance officer if you want specifics about your business. And where do we go to get an estimate? Is it by number of employees? Yeah, we'll be giving our contact information at the end. And so you can call our offices, and it is by number of employees. It's a head count, 3 or more. Unless you're in construction, and that one, regardless of the number of employees, you need to get that. So I don't see any more open questions. So I'm going to keep on going because I want to make sure we can get through everything to the end and keep on answering questions as we go along. And thank you for those questions, some really good ones out there. So employer responsibilities, you do need to purchase a workers' comp policy, right? There's the poster, the WCA poster. I think it's in the next slide. You do need to put it in what's called a conspicuous place. That's a wording from the statute, which we recommend a break room, something like that. And attached to the poster, you need to have the notice of accident forms. We recommend people read the poster. A lot of times people hang up the poster and don't know what it says, but technically every employer, every worker is supposed to know what that poster says. That's the reason it's a poster, because it has important information for everyone, right? Decide on healthcare provider selection. So the employers have the right to either direct healthcare once an injury happens. You as the employer have the right to decide if you will direct that worker where to go to a certain healthcare provider. Let's say you have a relationship with an occupational medicine specialist and you want them to go there, or you can allow the worker to go to their choice of healthcare provider. It actually is quite a controversial thing in workers' comp, because 60 days after, whoever did not make that first decision then has the right to make the second decision on healthcare provider selection. And in New Mexico, there's lifetime reasonable and necessary benefits for anything related, for treatment related to that injury. So a lot of times that second choice locks in the healthcare provider selection for the life of the claim. So we recommend, if you're confused on what you should do on there, call your insurance carrier. A lot of times they have a recommendation on making the first choice or allowing the worker to make the first choice. But you do want to think about that if you were to get in an accident. We're going to talk about that when we go over the return to work stuff next week. So the annual safety inspections, which Joey talked about, the workers' comp fee, we're going to go over a little bit more, and also the drug and alcohol workplace, drug and alcohol free workplace policy. So we're going over each one in depth. Here's what the poster looks like. So if you're subject to the Workers' Comp Act, you do want to have this up in a conspicuous place. There in the middle, make sure that you do have your insurance carrier information, right? And right there, that number where it says if you need help, it's got our phone number. That is also to our offices. That's our ombudsman helpline. And so you can ask for help there. And also we have Spanish speaking representatives who will help you as well. To the bottom of these, you do want to have the notice of accident forms. Again, if you need some of those, you can call us or get some from your insurance carrier. So these are the notice of accident forms. These are downloadable from our website. What happens is when a worker gets hurt, you want to get one of these filled out. However, do not wait until you get this notice of accident form to report that accident injury to the insurance company. You're supposed to, within 72 hours of knowledge of the incident or accident, you're supposed to be reporting that injury to your insurance carrier or adjuster. Okay, don't wait and say, oh, I'm going to wait and see if they fill out this accident form. No. And if they fill out that accident form and hand it to you, by you signing it, it doesn't mean that you agree that, yes, this is an actual workers' comp injury. You might be in doubt. You might say, hey, I don't even know if this happened at work, but this is just acknowledgement that they have reported it. So you then have to report that to your insurance company. At that point, you can let your doubts be known to the adjuster on if it's really workers' comp or not, but you, the employer, should not ever make that decision yourself. Just always accept these notice of accident forms if someone is handing it to you. And if you know of the injury or incident, you still need to report it regardless on if you have this form. Okay. So the posters are free. You can get them off our website, or you can contact our office and we can send them to you. Healthcare provider selection. So we had talked about that. I would say the good place to start is ask your carrier insurance adjuster what their recommendation is first. So the fee, people get confused on the fee and workers' comp insurance. There's two different things, right? So there's a fee that's taken out. It's technically $4.30 that each employer has to pay for each of the employees who fall under the workers' comp, and it's done on a quarterly basis. That's paid to tax and rev. You can pass on $2 of that to the worker. So, for example, even me as a state worker working here for Workers' Comp Administration, I get that $2 taken out every quarter, and I'm thinking, okay, can't I get an exemption? But no. So it's every worker who is subject to workers' comp has to pay this fee. It does not mean you are covered by workers' comp. That fee goes to our offices. That's what funds this agency. So thank you. So, and it allows us to do this kind of outreach and provide the services that we have, but it does not buy you the workers' comp insurance. So workers themselves will sometimes, we get a call, I've paid into this thing my whole entire life and now I'm being denied workers' comp. And it's like, so the workers' comp fee doesn't fund the insurance coverage. That is paid by the employer on the worker's behalf. So very different from what the fee is. It's just, it's more like a tax paid to tax and rev, and it funds our agency. So here's an example of how it's calculated out. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go through these a little more quickly so that way I can get through everything. But immediate, so what to do after an accident? First of all, we always say there's three things, and we're going to talk about this in our return to work presentation next week. But you want to help and communicate with the worker, you want to investigate the claim, and you want to report it, right? So number one is always, if you take care of the worker, right? If they need emergency care, don't just try to, you know, investigate the claim first or whatever. The first priority should be getting care for that worker. You do want to notify the insurer within 72 hours, and you want to help that worker through the process. And we'll have some tools available for you next week on how you can do that. Always, you can call an ombudsman with any questions, and your worker can as well. So here's a word on workers' comp and intoxication. We always recommend that you have a drug and alcohol-free workplace policy in effect, because when it comes to workers' comp, if an injury happened and you think that the worker being intoxicated or under the influence is what caused that accident, you can ask for a reduction in the indemnity payouts that you might have to pay if that's what contributed. But you can't do that if you did not have a drug and alcohol-free workplace policy, and it's got to be written. And you need to have the worker informed of and signed on to the policy. Again, that does not affect medical benefits. And so I have a question here. Excuse me. It says, what do they have a THC medical card? So that's purely a business decision. So if you as the employer have accommodated that, and we've seen employers do that, it's like, hey, my employee is an office worker. It's not like they're a safety driver or something, right? They're not operating heavy machinery. They're not out driving. They are on the medical cannabis program. We let them work in the office, and it's not an issue for us. You've made that exception. If they were involved in a workers' comp injury, so let's just say they were involved in a repetitive motion because they hurt their wrist while they're typing so much, and they're in the office, they have the THC card. Well, that probably wouldn't come into play in workers' comp, right? Because that wouldn't have caused that injury. So we're talking if they were out driving, they were drunk, they caused a really bad accident that could affect their workers' comp claim. So if you as the business have made that exception to where they can have that medical card and still work for your company, you can do that. That's not something that we would regulate. Just know that if they were involved in some sort of accident, they could not be subject to the indemnity reduction benefit here. but I don't know that it would really even be worth it to you. So, it's a business decision, really, is what we say. Uninsured employers fund. So this is where we're talking about if you have workers and you decide not to cover them and those workers get hurt, what happens to them? They can come to this uninsured employers fund, again, administered via our offices. And what will happen is there's, 2 attorneys that work for that fund. They will go after that employer who was supposed to have had workers' comp to cover those workers, to make them pay for those worker benefits, the indemnity and medical benefits out of pocket, the full cost, and penalty and interest, 15 to 50%. So we have seen some businesses really get reamed by not having workers' comp insurance because that worker got hurt and that company was supposed to have insurance. And then when we're talking about paying medical benefits out of pocket, there was one with a roofer who fell and was paralyzed. Well, think about how expensive those medical benefits were out of pocket, plus indemnity, lost time benefits, plus that penalty that employer was really hurting. So you don't ever want to not get workers' comp if you are supposed to have it. And looks like we're about at the end here. So here's our contact information. Oh, we got a question if we'll be sharing the slide deck. We'd be happy to do that. Actually, I think this is already available on our website, but we can go ahead and send it all out to you personally if you would like that as well. And so here's our main office at Albuquerque and the Ombudsman, all our field offices. So depending on where you're at the state, you can call any of these. And you can ask for either one of us. Our personal information isn't on here, but we're going to pass that on after the return to work, but you can call me directly. I'll just give my phone number is 505-841-6042. And Joey, what's your number?
Mine is 505-841-6061.
Yeah. So at any time you can call us, even if we're not the right department, we can get you to where you need to go. So, or you can call that main number and they can route you where you need to go. So, oh, here's some of the websites that we had promised, and there is our the workerscompnm.gov. That's our main one. And here's some other helpful websites for you as businesses as you're setting up. And this is our public information officer phone number, email as well. And that's all we have. We don't normally, if we were in person, we would have evaluation forms for you guys to fill out, but since we're doing it online, and then I'm not savvy enough to do a poll, so unfortunately, so but call us and you can let us know how we did. But did anybody have any other questions? Well, someone was asking to go back to the phone number page, so here we go. Here's our main phone number. So the best one to really take down is probably in the Ombudsman or the Albuquerque phone number. And from there, they can route you wherever they need to. And then you can contact us directly as well. So are there any other questions from anyone?
Did one pop up? I'm not sure.
We got to thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, okay.
Thank you guys. We really enjoyed we like getting out there and doing the outreach because, we're just, it's nice to see businesses who are just trying to do the right thing and get their businesses going. However, we can help you and support you in that. Come hear us next week. We're talking about some return to work services, and best of luck to all of you and your businesses. Hope to see you next week.
Great. Thank you so much, Jessica and Jose and Fran, of course. Yeah, hope to see everyone next week. There is a lot of information to learn about it, right? Jessica, will you share with us the slides so we can share with the attendees later?
Yes, I would be happy to. We can go ahead and email them to you, or how?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I will be happy to distribute it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll email it to you today sometime, Sophia.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, perfect. Nice to see you and I meet you.
All right.
All right, perfect.
Bye-bye.
All right, hope to see everybody next week. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good one.